is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 75. My name is Zach Graham, your host here in the North End, joined, as always, by my good buddy. He's on record as my best friend. His name is Ian Michaud, and we call him E, a.k.a. Lee James, a.k.a. Sebastian Drew Easy, a.k.a. Easterdamus, a.k.a. Pap E, O'Daniel, a.k.a. The Fashionista, a.k.a. Chili Willie, a.k.a. Joe E. Chestnut, a.k.a. Eon Stonkel. E. I can't lie, man. I had a temper tantrum, a full-on meltdown on Friday night, right about the 91st minute. That has affected me, I think, almost until right now. Like, I'm still hurting from Friday, emotionally, physically. I haven't seen you since. How are you feeling, man?
Oh, terrible. Absolutely awful. Still trying to recover from Friday. Yeah, I deleted many comments I was making on pages and Reddit and was just like, don't do this, man. Just don't do it. It does not feel good, especially losing in that fashion. It hasn't been this low in a while. This is, I mean, it's Violette vibes again, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's the Violette vibes. There's obviously differences. But I think it's, for me, like the anger that washed over me just at our situation is only at that level because of results like Violette in these external competitions. I guess let's not delay, because we've actually got a good amount to talk about here, whether it's, our concerns from the injury report to what we saw on the pitch on Friday. Then there's some trade news. We had a Tom Bogert tweet today out of nowhere. And then we've got some last business day. And I'm very cheery about that right now. I've got high hopes for the FC2 boys out there taking on Rapids 2. Now, I fucked up on Wednesday's episode. We did not preview this match. So my fault for anybody who was coming there for that. But we will recap that match. We're going to take care of the rest of the pod here, as we do with these FC2 Sunday matches. And we're going to go watch that game. And then we'll come back and talk about it. So hopefully we have the same good vibes about FCito here in about 3 hours. But let's talk the first team here. Again, Mazatlan coming in for the Leagues Cup opener on Friday night. Still not sure why they did not move that game back due to the heat. We talked about it being moved up, initially scheduled at 9 p.m. And the game wasn't on national TV or anything like that. So I'm still left scratching my head. Lineup comes out, 3 changes, and I don't think any of them really surprising. Redis was in there for Seba. You had Diego playing the 10, Johan in there for the injured Danny. And then Lundqvist, we talked about. You couldn't get on board, of course, just contractual reasons. Lundqvist was in there for Johnny, getting a little bit of a rest after his busy All-Star week. But Mazatlan also had 5 changes in their lineup from when they last played. And we know some of those, we talked about the injuries they had coming in, but they also rotated past some of those injuries. So not a first choice Mazatlan team either. We talked about how poor this team has been over their short existence. I believe, just 1 year older than Austin FC. What were your thoughts on the lineup? And then we'll just go ahead and get into it.
I mean, there's really not too many thoughts on the lineup. There's not a lot of decisions that need to be made when there's only a very limited amount of players who are actually available to play. And obviously I know Seba and Danny went through all of the tests and got with the performance team, and they understood exactly where they were at. And to me, they had to be at least 105%, because it seemed as if there was just not a really good reason to risk them going out there on such short notice with the injuries they suffered. So, the lineup was what it was. And I guess we talked ourselves into being able to say that we could beat this team with a rotated lineup. And that was a mistake because we've seen this club without Seba, and it is complete dysfunction when he doesn't play. And then you add the lineup is what it just was, what it was, and it's what we had available, and it wasn't good enough, even though
you cut out just for a second there, but I think got the gist. I mean, it's the best 11 you could possibly run out there in my eyes, with what we had available.
I totally agree. I don't know what you could have done. You can't play Sophie at the 10. Like maybe you could. You were talking about it. Maybe you start Sophie, push Owen to the 10, and then keep Diego at his regular position on the left wing. Maybe that's an option. Maybe we only play the 3-back when Seba's out, like you said before we got on the show. Yeah. Like what else can we do? It just hasn't worked well enough consistently when he's been out this season for us to have confidence in this club to go out and beat even a bottom tier Liga MX team. So it was a rough night.
Yeah, no question about that. At least for us. I know. Look. If we had put ourselves in the camp of we don't really care about Leagues Cup because we're not a fan of this new tournament and everything that it brings, I think the most the point that I can get on board with the most from people who I've seen saying, I really do not care about this competition, is that all of the games are at MLS stadiums. And I do think that, yes, in the future, we need to see if this competition is going to continue and going to be on more of a level playing field. There need to be away games and groups hosted south of the border. So we'll see if that comes to pass down the road. And we can definitely discuss a little bit more about maybe what we could see going forward formation wise this coming Saturday. We'll preview Juarez on Wednesday, but I think it is appropriate to loop some of that into this discussion as you brought up there. But let's talk about the game recap here, and maybe going to be a little bit of a not a short one, but maybe more abbreviated than a typical match, because like there are long stretches of this match where I just had nothing to take notes on. Like I could have, but it would have been really, really diving into the nitty gritty and trying to create something out of nothing.
Yeah.
I did.
The first half is basically a skip.
Yeah. The first half was not great for either team.
Nope.
On the rewatch, though, Adrian Healy was on the call with Kobe Jones, so that was good to hear. And then he takes a dig. I mean, Healy with the gloves off is it's something else. He takes a dig at Inter Miami before the kickoff because they were mentioning Austin FC without all three of their designated players in this match. And then he said, well, and then technically they have a fourth because Danny Pereira's initials are DP. So there's a fourth DP. And he goes, I thought Inter Miami were the only team allowed to have 4 DPs. Oh, Adrian. Okay, buddy. 5th minute here. Coleman for Mazatlan, who was number 8, Josue Coleman. He brings down a ball over the top and finds some space near the top of the box in the south end and fires a shot that goes high and wide. But it was kind of the opening shot here in a game that didn't have a ton of them. The next minute, great long ball here, diagonal long ball from Kip to Finley on the right. And, Finley takes one touch and lofts across towards Zardes. But Gutierrez, the keeper, was able to come out and gather it out of the air. But it was that was kind of the first chance 6 minutes in that Austin threatened in that final third. 11th minute here, Edgar Barcenas, who went down in the 7th minute. He subbed off for Edward Bello. And Bello was the lone goal scorer for them through their first 3 league matches. He also has 10 matches with the Venezuelan national team. So countryman with our 4th DP.
He did not look slouch by any means.
No.
He was active. And the Coleman dude, he gave us a lot of issues.
Yeah, he did.
He really hurt us.
Yeah, and he ends up scoring one of the 3 goals there. But we'll get to that. So Barcenas, the guy who went down and got subbed off, had just been with the Panamanian national team in the Gold Cup final. So makes sense that he could be a little bit tired. And if you feel a little bit of tightness there, he's gonna take the night off, and he did. And then 2 minutes after that sub, Austin gets one of their own because Johan plays a long ball through to Zardes, and Zardes pulls up short just before the end line. Well, and he kind of jogs around for like 2 more minutes and ends up sitting down. And I think what happens here is in the 14th minute, you get a yellow card on Valencia for his late tackle on Montano in the Mazatlan offensive half. And this is where Jassy takes a seat. So maybe 90 seconds more of him kind of trotting around, testing out that groin. Apparently, VAR, while he was down, I don't think we knew this in the stadium, VAR was looking at that challenge by Valencia for a potential red. So good thing that they said yellow was the call there, but I guess we'll talk about the injuries as a whole when we get through the entire match. But obviously we're not feeling great. I think our words in the stands were like, throw your hands up and just like, come on, man, you got to be kidding me! Another injury.
And to our hottest player.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
and it changes everything that we're going to try to do. Up front. Yeah.
Well, and especially when you're already missing Seba and now G goes out, the crosses just become so toothless because then you've got Rodney and Diego who are just, they're too small to be aerial threats, at least consistently. Right. And we know that's not Maxi's strongest attribute. So, you're already obviously missing Seba for everything that he brings. But once Jassy goes out, then it's like, we might be in for a rough one, and we were. So Maxi comes on for him here in the 18th minute is when we finally get things started again. Jumping ahead to the 23rd minute here, where Austin wins a corner, and this does start a little bit of kind of a bout of momentum for Austin, even though they aren't able to really capitalize. Diego whips this corner in, and it gets deflected out to the edge of the 18, where it falls to Lundqvist, and he tries to volley it and skies it into, I think, 124 over there. But again, that's if he could have banged home his first Austin goal, we would have taken it. And there's a couple of these chances where like Austin does get close, get into some dangerous positions. And I mean, obviously the stats point to Austin has to score that first goal here in 2023. But it really felt like that first, if you get one in the first half, I think the entire game changes. And I know goals change games is fucking cliche, but like, I think Mazatlan, like the longer they went, the more they believed they could get a result, especially getting to the half with nothing on the board.
Totally agree. And a team like that, you got to come out and you got to make sure that they don't have any sort of hope that they can get a dub here on your home field. And we did not do that.
3 minutes after that volley from Adam, Mazatlan really starts kind of packing it in here. And Julio makes a solo run as the buildup kind of stalls. And that does open up some space. He gets it out to the left. You got Lundqvist, Diego, and Redis combining on that left side to open up a chance in the box. And it gets through, I think, Diego to Redis is the final pass in there. Redis puts in a cross that gets deflected, and it kind of dribbles near that end line where Maxi is able to deflect it off of a Mazatlan defender and out for a corner. But then he was deemed offside, and I think that was the correct call. So, again, we're getting into dangerous spots. And, like Josh talked about in the press conference against SKC, talking about those stats that they look at where how many guys do we have arriving in the box? Are we getting behind that final line, breaking that last line of defense? And I think during this like 10-minute stretch here, we did a lot of those things and just not able to put the final 1-2 pieces together. 5 minutes later.
We just lack in that area.
Especially with the guys who are out.
Yeah, precisely. I was watching the RSL match last night, and you get to see some guys who can be on the ball and like take their defender one-on-one and get a shot off, and it's like, damn, that must be really nice and fun. And with this lineup, we just literally do not have that. Yeah,
that 66-1 ticket we're looking at or we're holding for RSL is after last night, after one match.
Yeah,
looking pretty good.
We got to find anything to grab onto here.
31st minute, Mazatlan going here. Medina gets free down the right. He puts a cross into the top of the six that's cleared out for a corner by Cascante. And then the head official comes and gives Julio a talking to whoever he was jostling with, so we can begin the match. Corner comes in all the way out to the backside, and Owen starts taking off down that right sideline, but he gets the ball taken off his foot near that sideline. Austin able to ultimately win it back, but that was, Owen did not have his best match. I thought he looked tired. He looked later in the match. We can talk about other thoughts, I guess, but this was just another moment where Owen Wolff certainly did not have his best. It wasn't his best outing, and coming on the heels of, I think, what maybe not most, but a lot of people were saying, I think that Owen against SKC after Seba goes down plays his best match of the season. That this was, you got the two extremes within a 6-day period of people's takes on Owen Wolff.
Yeah, and I mean, look, we give him his flowers every time he plays really well, and we got to be able to look at it, fairly, no matter what his performance is, and be able to critique and judge him. And he looked slow, he looked lethargic, he looked lost most of the time. And this is what I said, like a month ago. Where else do we get consistent night in, night out? We know what you're bringing to the table, because that's how you build that cohesiveness every single time. And when Danny and Seba are out, it's really just wild cards all over the place.
Yeah.
And he was
bad.
What
was our answer for that? The consistent night in, night out? We said Seba, Danny, Julio, Brad.
You said Stuver, yeah.
Yeah.
Who was really bad.
Yeah, Stuver did not have a good night either, but finishing up the first half here, 40th minute, Austin possession coming down the right side, Lima, Owen, and Finley combining. And then I thought Johan, who we know about his offensive limitations, and my frustrations with that were very evident in section 123. But here I thought he actually made a good decision, because he kind of darts into some free space near that kind of left center of the box, and Owen finds him, and at the same time, Ethan Finley makes a darting run behind that back line. And I thought it was kind of great timing by all parties here. Valencia plays him in, and Ethan takes a shot on net. He's not able to bend it around the keeper. And then on the replay, you can see Diego is coming in, trailing the play near the penalty spot. But I think if you watch it at full speed, I think the shot was the right decision there. It's just unfortunate. Ethan, we've seen him score from that angle multiple times over the last season and a half, and just not able to finish there. But again, that was probably the best chance Austin had in the first half. And if you put that away, maybe you can just salt this game away 1-0 the rest of the second half. I mean, certainly not with how the defense performed in the second half, but it just changes the mental state of that game.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. I think the shot was the right call, just based on a probability of being able to get a look on the net, because it was a smaller chance that ball could have gotten to Diego without being deflected by that trailer from Mazatlan there. And look, a solid save by the keeper. It was a solid shot. I was pretty satisfied with it. And it would have been great to knock that one home.
Coming down the right again 2 minutes later here. It was a good ball from Julio to Finley, kind of a long ball on the ground. Finley rips a low cross into a dangerous area, and Almada kind of bodies Owen off of his spot and gets it out for a corner. And man, if Owen is a little bit more physically mature there, I think he can maybe get a chance on net. But again, that's where you see some of that inexperience and maybe the fatigue showing through in that moment. That corner is played short, and it eventually gets deflected out for another corner. The second corner is taken short again, and Big Fudge losing his mind in the stands. He hates the short corners. On that second one, Nick Lima takes a shot from distance that sails right into section 122. I don't hate it. It's ambitious for Nick, but hey, we didn't have a ton going.
That's just not a high quality look.
Sure, for sure. Right before the half here, and we had 5 minutes of stoppage. We were in just into the sixth here, right before the official blows it dead. It was a dangerous clearance by Rodney from our own end line, kind of to the top of the 18. And I thought we got lucky that no Mazatlan player was there to take advantage. And the ball kind of bounces, just dribbles towards Owen, and he turns and takes off with it, tries to dish it to Maxi, who's ahead of him on the left. And a Mazatlan player comes in late and takes Owen out hard, and the official is looking the complete opposite direction. And I thought that was an easy yellow card. That was a bad moment for this official. There was a couple of very obvious ones, that and the Rodney shot later on that is so evident to all, 18,000 people, maybe less, in the stadium on Friday. But look, you can't get them all as an official, but this was I thought a bad foul that somebody on that crew should have said, hey, there needs to be a yellow assessed there, and there wasn't.
Totally agree.
Coming out of the half, no changes for either team, just those 2 first half injury substitutions. And it doesn't take long. You get a Mazatlan build up here down the right side in the 49th minute. They change the field from right to left and then whip in across that Julio gets his head to, but is not able to clear it. So he kind of heads it down into the ground, and it falls to Coleman at the top of the box. He takes a touch to his right around Valencia, and then another back to his left to kind of shield off Diego, who was on his other side, and just curls a great shot past Stuver. And of the 3 goals, I think this was the one that I'm willing to give Brad more of a pass on. I thought this was just 100% skill. You mentioned Coleman earlier, so I'll let you take it away. I thought I was very impressed by that goal by him.
Yeah, it was a great move. Tight quarters, and he gets a great shot off and just buries it. And really not much Brad could have done on that one.
Yeah. And the way he used his body to get around Johan and then shield off Diego and have the velocity on that shot to get it past number 1. Sometimes you got to credit the other team.
That was a legit goal. It was a very legit goal. And, it was a good shot.
So, Mazatlan's really going to pack it in now. We'll jump ahead to the 55th minute here. It was good find by Owen here on a pass to Diego in the middle of the Mazatlan defense, probably 6 yards outside the center of the box. Diego then gets it back out to the right and finds Nick Lima alone out there. His cross gets deflected out for a corner, so Diego runs out there. His corner is cleared out, but Austin keeps possession and has it on that right side, and Wolf clips it to Diego, who slots Ethan Finley through into the right side of the 18, and Finley crosses it to a dangerous spot, but neither Rodney or Max, I think Rodney the one with the better chance at putting it home here. Neither of them can get a scoring touch. But that ball is not gobbled up by the keeper, and it bounces out towards that right side of the 6, and Diego gets a chance, and he skies it right way up into the south end. But again, that pressure was starting to build here in the 55th minute, and then 3 minutes later, you get a nice ball from Diego from the left all the way, a long cross from that left sideline to the back post. Finley, unfortunately, was kind of his momentum was carrying him away from net. So he was not able to get a ton of velocity on that and headed it over. But it was a good ball by Diego there. And again, I left Q2 with a terrible taste in my mouth from Diego's performance. And then looking at like FotMob or SofaScore, any of these sites that put out the player ratings, he's 7.9. I was like, what was I just not watching the same game? And I think obviously he gets the eventual goal here. So that's going to boost your rating no matter what. And so I think that the truth was somewhere in the middle. I think Diego, his passing stats were very good. He created 2 chances. And he's playing out. He's not playing in his favorite position. So I get all that. I think maybe I'm holding him to too high of a standard, but I think given the talent we know he has, given the salary that he's on right now, I thought, and I still think this to a certain extent after the rewatch, I think he didn't do enough to make his teammates better. It doesn't help him that a lot of his teammates, half the starting lineup isn't present. But I just think he should be the one that we're looking to after a victory on the road over Violette, at home against Mazatlan, with the lineups that we rolled out. We can critique the lineup against Violette. Obviously, we've done plenty of that. But we ran the best 11 we had available to us, in our opinion, here on Saturday. And I look at these cup games where we've had the disappointments. On the road, Violette. Home Chicago's maybe a little bit different. Shaqiri was on the field for that one and played maybe his best game of the year. But then against Mazatlan, they're so heavily rotated too. To me, it says something that Diego is the highest paid, highest profile player, both in the DR against Violette and at home against Mazatlan, and we can't get the job done. Whether that's fair or not, I think that is certainly up for debate. But in my biased opinion here, I still come away from this disappointed in Diego, because I think he should step more into a leadership role. and if I can just continue just for a second here on this long-winded, I'm just my therapy session here. Like I see guys like Seba, who Seba doesn't have, he's wearing the armband this year. He doesn't have maybe the most visible vocal leadership skills. And I think that's well documented amongst the fan base. But on his social medias, right, I'll see him, he'll post his accomplishments. He scores a goal, he'll put a nice little replay up there. Brad Stuver makes a nice save, he's going to repost that. But you consistently, win or lose, see guys like Seba, like Stuver, even Maxi. I feel like I've seen a lot from where you see a post after a game like Friday is like, hey, we didn't get it done. We go to battle again on Saturday against Juarez. Just something addressing the team. I was a little disappointed that the only thing I saw from Diego, and this was like 2 p.m. Saturday, so he may have posted something between now and then. But when I got up on Saturday, had some breakfast, you get on the socials, see the damage. I was a little disappointed to see the only thing on his story is, hey, I scored the first goal for the club. I scored the first this. I scored the first that. It's like, okay, like I get it. And we loved it. Like that is part of the reason why Diego Fagundes will always be an Austin FC legend, right? Mm-hmm. But like I would rather see a post about, hey, we didn't get it done. We're going to something addressing the team and the loss rather than, hey, look at me. That's just how it came off to me. And maybe I'm not being fair with that. I don't know.
I just know that that's something that you wouldn't do personally.
Okay.
You wouldn't do that. And I think that it's fair to critique that. I mean, I don't think there's many fans in the Austin FC fan base who you would say, who's the top 5 best players on our team? And they don't have Diego in there. And then right or wrong, with that accolade comes the criticism when you're supposed to be the best player on the field and making your teammates better. And I know he was playing out of position, and he usually is better in a more facilitating role to other players, with his assists and his passing and the way he can deliver balls. And he hasn't taken it up a level, right? Like he hasn't. And look, I understand that some guys are not vocal leaders, are not, guys who just go out there and they're just like, on everyone's butt, talking, communicating, making sure people are together. Right. But look,
Alex Ring, Ruben Gabrielson. Yeah.
But look, part of elevating your game and part of becoming even a better player is stepping into uncomfortable situations. And they don't just have to be in regard to training and performance. Uncomfortable situations of understanding what it takes like to be a guy who brings other people up. And that might mean that you have to talk and be in some anxious kind of situations and honest and open with people, but you have to be able to take it up to another level. And obviously Diego got paid and he deserved to get paid.
Yes.
But you have to be able to take it up a notch when we play these clubs, and you're the guy out there because look, man, you sent out a tweet that we were feeling like the 07 Cavs. And it's like, I sat through that the whole time where it was just like, we got one guy and he's out there just doing it all. So for Diego, obviously gets the goal, boosts his rating. And I mean, I'm with you as well. I don't think it's a good look to post that. Am I right? Is that right?
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. That's just my personal opinion on that. And, it's just, it was tough to see him in a position where he did have a chance to just like really take over a game and just not walk into it. And that, I mean, that doesn't have anything to do with his skill. We all know how talented he is.
Right. Of course.
Taking it up a notch. It's about walking into that role. So, and some guys just might not have it. And I'm not saying that he doesn't, but we got to see it.
Well, and again, to be fair to him, like it's a lot easier to take it up a level when there's not 5 starters also missing around you.
Yep, for sure.
So again, and that's why we try to not, give too many takes after an emotional win or an emotional loss. Obviously, we do sometimes get out there and bitch or trumpet successes. But I do think that if my take on Friday night was way too far to the extreme in a negative space. But after the rewatch and after, almost 48 hours here since the game, I do appreciate the 1-day buffer where we can take Saturday.
That was really good for us.
Yeah.
It was dead yesterday and just like sick, didn't feel good. And like, oh my God, I gotta watch this fucking game again and then go talk about it.
Yep.
So yeah,
well,
that was good.
Let's talk about the rest of this shit.
Okay. Yeah, let's get into the good stuff.
Yeah, well, 60th minute here. Redis has a shot on goal that is we talked about this, very clearly deflected out for a corner, and the official right there gives a goal kick. Yeah, I don't understand how that and a couple other things were missed, but hey, look, officials, they're not perfect. A minute later, you get Finley, Owen, and Nick Lima forming some nice triangles there on the right side in the offensive half, and they're a really slick touch by Owen. I didn't notice this live, only saw it on the rewatch, but that touch is what plays Ethan Finley into the box, who goes down, gets tackled. No penalty awarded originally, but sent to VAR. Austin gets the PK awarded, and Diego, after a long delay, after the ball is at the spot, has the cojones to slide it home and tie the match. And so again, Diego did come through in that moment because again, he's got 4 or 5 purple jerseys chirping him as the official, for whatever reason, is taking forever to blow the whistle and let him take this kick. And look, man, ties it up. And at that point, I think we are not just going to be safe from losing this match, but we're going to win. Like, all of the momentum is on our side at that point. And then guess what?
We were.
And then guess what? Goal or red card here. So off the restart, Mazatlan finds space on the left after a long ball finds their left back Diaz, and he plays Bello through. And then Bello's cross. There's kind of an attempt to clear it by Owen, and he kind of loses his footing and slips, and the ball just bounces right to Montano, and he takes a good shot past Stuver. I thought, first of all, you've got, I don't know how many bodies in the box there. Everybody on defense has to do better. And I also think Brad could have saved that. It looked like he maybe thought it was going wide. What did you say?
I 100% thought that he thought it was going wide. And Nick and Julio on this play looked like 2 wisps of dust in the wind. Like, I have no idea what either of them were doing. Nick kind of turns, opens his body, then Julio just looks like he's like watching a movie. He was just kind of floating in the background. There's 3 dudes back there.
Yeah.
And Brad kind of pulls up.
He almost pulled his arm back.
I really don't know. I mean, look, the shot shouldn't have gotten through, first of all, because we had enough people there to block that shot. And then second of all, it's like, I don't know. I've seen Brad save way better shots than I mean, like, consistently. So, but I mean, fucking, regardless of if Brad gave a great attempt or not, inexcusable for the 10 men in front of him to get scored on immediately after that, because we were just sleep. It looked like we thought that they weren't allowed to score after we tied. We're like, no, you can't do that. You got to check up first. It's like,
Oh man. So the mood killed immediately. The momentum killed immediately. It was a kick in the dick. 70th minute. You get Gallagher coming on for Lundqvist, and then Will Bruin on for Maxey. And Josh said after the game that Maxey is wearing down, and we kind of insinuated a little bit that like maybe he had a groin issue too. But he came off the field jogging and looked fine. That was perplexing to me why he was coming on. And maybe it was because he wasn't a threat. Have we said his name once?
No, he wasn't on the field, really. He won us a corner once by kicking the ball off of a player.
Well, he was offside.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, it's almost time to just come to the realization that we need to move on from this.
Well, and I think
he's
probably
$150,000 a year for one. He's got 1 goal.
Well, yeah, he's he's probably gone in the winter because he's a free agent, right? And maybe that's something here. If we don't make it through this group stage, we're gonna have to manufacture some topics here on the podcast.
Yeah,
and
right.
Maybe just a complete look ahead to what is going to look different potentially on the roster. Maybe that can be coming. But let's finish this up here. 72nd minute, you get Owen receiving a pass from Stuver, which is almost intercepted. Really risky pass by Brad there, but Owen turns with it and charges forward past the Mazatlan defender. He finds Diego out on the right, who works it to Finley back in the middle. Finley slides it onto Redis on the left side, and then Redis crosses it into a dangerous area. It's poked past the keeper by Will Bruin. Place goes crazy. Flag goes up. No goal.
Definitely off.
Definitely offside. We watched 100%. The replay. Yeah, we watched the replay.
It would have been nice if he was a little bit slower, because if he doesn't touch that ball, Diego scores that.
Yep. Yeah. Also that. Although I think so I was thinking that on the rewatch. I bet it gets called back anyways because he was going to affect the play.
Yeah, good point.
But and look, so that was a nice cross by Rodney, because Rodney was marked and put it right to the spot where he needed to. So again, trying to pull some positives out of the end of this one, 75th minute. And this is where I thought the guys are really starting to push. And by push, like, you're losing your focus. You're maybe not making the best decisions because we have to get this goal or else we're headed for another embarrassment. In this spot in particular, Lima plays the ball over the top, and Owen and Diego are both running to the same spot. And I think Diego was in better position to make something happen there, because Owen tries to get a touch. He doesn't see Diego there. He touches it like back over his head out of a dangerous area. And so, like, I see Diego's visibly frustrated there. I get it. How many times has he been on the backside of plays this? He was just on the backside of one 3 minutes prior.
Yeah.
And again, I think this is a part where Owen is just, he's pressing a little bit too hard, trying to be that hero and make something happen in that moment, and just losing his positional awareness there.
I mean, yeah, we just didn't really have our structural integrity throughout the entirety of this game, and then it becomes a scramble. And we're just doing whatever we can, really. So just a disappointing.
Yeah, no question. Jumping ahead here, 86th minute, you get Gallagher free down the left towards the end line, and he puts in a cross that finds Finley, and again, just not able to generate any power on the header. 2 minutes later, Mazatlan on the counter. They find Edward Bello in behind the line, and he pokes the ball past Stuver. Flag goes up, and then the VAR, without sending the head official to the monitor, and they didn't need to, it was very much onside, because Owen Wolf is keeping the Mazatlan player in legal position, and 3-1, game's over.
Game was over. And just another time where we get scored on where it's like a 1-on-4.
Yeah. Yep. And look, 91st minute, I think we get 6 minutes of stoppage here. You get a triple sub for Mazatlan, and then you get Hector Jimenez in for Rodney Redis, Val Noel in for Owen Wolf. And man, like, good for Val. Val, first of all. Congratulations to him. I thought it was CJ coming down the line. I thought we were going to get a CJ debut, which, to be honest, like, I don't know if he's not the better option than Hector at this point with his size and youth and athleticism. I don't know. There wasn't hope at that point, really, to get a point back. And like I said to open the pod, I was going into full, seeing everything was red. I was having a tantrum, full-on meltdown. The first time I have gotten up out of my seat and walked out of Section 123 before the final whistle. Not out of the stadium. I went to take a pee, but just using the last 3-4 minutes of stoppage time to get ready to make that angry walk back to our car. I was not having a good time.
No, I don't think anybody was. Yeah, look, I was thinking about the CJ situation earlier, and it's like they can't be like getting to see him in practice versus the first team, right?
I think he's practicing with the first team, at least at times. Yeah,
at times, yes.
Yeah,
but not consistent. I feel like it can't be consistent enough where it's like he is outperforming the people that he is matched up with to get him, to make the coaching staff feel good about putting him in. And I don't know what it's going to take for us to be able to have him get in. This Juarez game might be it, because it might just be time to say fuck it. And
he might be at striker, bro.
Yeah, Maxi's out, potentially out. Giassi is obviously out. Will Bruin. And I don't know when it's going to come, but shout out to Val for sure. And just the limitations of this club, man, on full display. And look, it is clear that we do not perform well in the heavy favorite role. Yeah. We were much more comfortable being the team that everyone's that sneaks up on you, being the team that was nothing in their first year and then caught everybody by surprise in their second year. And you see it again. And this team was hungrier. Violette was hungrier. They wanted to win these games more than we did, and they did. And there's all kinds of cliches sayings in sports, but there's the one about talent, and when it doesn't work hard, hard work beats talent.
Right.
And it's cliche as fuck, but sometimes it happens. And we're the more talented team, and they outworked us and they won the game. So it's going to be an interesting match versus Juarez here, and pretty disgusted.
Yeah. Well, I think at the end of the day, man, what did not change for me on the rewatch is that no matter how shorthanded we were the more talented team on that pitch. That team was not good. Not at all.
No.
And I just I'm fucking tired of our guys doing this. I'm tired of it.
I don't understand what would give you the audacity to just feel overconfident that you can come in and just run anybody off the field. What have we done for that?
Yeah.
We went to the Western Conference Finals. It's like, all right, great. And we've been battling the middle of the table all season due to a lot of things, plenty of circumstances in that. But man, it's if you don't respect your opponent, more often than not, they're gonna bite you on your ass.
Yeah, and I think the only XG model we had for this game was Apple TVs, and that graded it 1.11, I believe, XG for Austin, 1.04 for Mazatlan. So again, it's not like they created a ton. Yeah. It's like almost every chance they had, they converted, whether it was a good play by them or poor defense by us. It was,
Absolutely.
The score was indicative of the sloppy nature of Austin FC's performance, but clearly not indicative of just how little Mazatlan actually created for those 3 goals, right? To have just a touch over 1 XG. It's of course not a perfect metric, but it can point you in the right direction sometime.
If you watch the game, those were their chances.
Yeah, for sure.
They had 3 chances. They made every single one of them.
65% possession for Austin, 10 shots to 10, but 5-3 on target in favor of Mazatlan. Austin, 12 corners to Mazatlan's 2. Real quick, some quotes from Coach in the postgame. His overall thoughts started off, said it wasn't good enough. We lacked decisiveness, precision, and ruthlessness. The goals we gave up were quite soft. We had so many numbers in and around the box, individually, collectively. It just needed to be better. There was a better result in there for us, and we did not execute well enough, in my eyes. Spot on. I guess, again, coming back to kind of what you pointed at or hinted at earlier in the pod, we did have success keeping this season afloat with that 3-4-3 formation or 5-3-2, whatever you want to call it, right? The 3 back with the wing backs pushing up and the 2, the non-wingers, right, pushed in. Yeah. Got to stay in compliance with Landon. I don't think we have the personnel right now to do it, because that means either your third center back is Nick Lima, right? Which I don't think, even in the 3 back, I don't think we want to see that. Or it's Brandon Craig in his first minutes for the club, and he's played 3-4 minutes all time in a 6-0 blowout. So maybe we just don't have the numbers for that. But I don't know, man. It didn't look good. We don't have the players to execute, really, I think, what we're trying to do, especially once Zardes went out.
100%. And when Zardes went out, there was that the entire game plan there was just going to become obsolete, because we don't have any aerial threats when we have no Seba, no G. Look, man, this loss is what it is. It was a terrible loss. It sucks that we're most likely going to get bounced out of this tournament early, but we can heal up for a long time, and that just might be what this club needs in this season. And I'm not trying to set a precedent that we don't want to go after cups in the future or whatever it might be. And I don't know if I'm trying to just cope with what happened on Friday here.
Well, whoever's out there on Saturday, they're going to be playing to win. It just may not be our strongest 11.
Of course. And maybe what this team needs right now in this season is a full month off to recalibrate, to take a bit of a breather from what has been a fucking difficult emotional season for us so far. So bad performance up and down the board. And, what else can you do? The season's not over, boys. We move on.
You've got everything to fight for in the league, no matter how League's Cup ends up. So we
and if that's if that is the approach, that I don't think it's like a prevalent talked about thing inside the organization. But obviously the health of this club is a priority right now. Our two best players are hurt. There are two best players, period. That's it. They are our two guys. So they were both out. You look at this club going into MLS playoffs, and we're not good enough as is right now, even with those two guys fully healthy, to compete with the LAFCs, the RSLs now. A Seattle road matchup. It's just, we have to get better. So if we're going to look at the sunny side of this, and that we got out of this tournament and we can get our boys healthy, then we have to be active in this transfer window and get something done to get better. Because if the MLS playoffs are our focus, then they better be our full focus.
Yeah, for sure. Well, speaking of those injuries, you did get kind of an injury summary here from Josh. He said, Jossie, adductor, that's going to take some time. If I can recklessly speculate here, I think he's ready to go August 20th in St. Louis. Because he didn't go down. He didn't need assistance off the field. He was still jogging around. And that's a month. That's a month from game day. Yeah. It was July 21st, next league match, August 20th.
You just know how those injuries can be. They can be nagging.
For sure. And he said Maxi is in a similar space, just wearing down. I'm still confused by that. Did he have a groin injury, or is he again?
He's wearing down. I think we don't play him.
I know. I think it might have just been he wasn't good enough, and Will Bruin gave you a better chance to score a goal at that point, which is not great. He said Danny. So we did get now Danny officially AC joint. Shoulder sprain there.
Well, he's not playing.
Right. And Emmy going to be 3+ weeks still. He said Sebastian was doing some individual work at the end of the week. Leo going to be out for probably 2 more months, which essentially adds an extra month onto the timeline, because initially it was 2 months, then it was 3, and 3 months from the injury date is August 24th. Mm-hmm. And he said on July 21st that 2 more months for Leo. So now it's like, can we get Leo back by the end of September, early October, give him 2 or 3 matches to ramp up for a potential playoff, I don't want to say run, playoff appearance. Because, man, you get Leo back and you get into the playoffs, I think we feel, assuming health of everybody else, feel pretty good.
Yeah.
But you just don't like to hear him adding extra time onto the timeline there.
No, it's not good.
And then, he said, Johnny had a big week, so we're mindful of that. Alex was in with the group this week, so there's potential for him. He says a lot of guys who have big roles inside the group, so it's difficult. You could say that again. And then he kind of closed out. He didn't rule Seba, Danny, or Alex out for Saturday. And we can make our predictions on who plays on Wednesday's pod. But then he said he kind of finished up saying that the guys who were there had a chance to get the job done, and we didn't. We have another game and a chance to advance in the tournament. And that is the most, I think, positive way that I can say we move forward is you came up short, but you can still advance in this tournament depending on what plays out here on Tuesday between Juarez and Mazatlan and where we sit, with what you have to do after that.
Our bracket
so I think
is already busted.
Let's not speculate on what the best case scenario is here. Let's just wait. Tuesday, these guys are going to play. So Wednesday's episode, we'll know what Austin needs to finish second or potentially first in this group. That is still technically in play. We'll see what happens on Tuesday. Talked about Austin and playing a back three. Again, like I think maybe the thing we can talk about here in a second maybe points to us having a little bit more flexibility with that formation if we can get healthy at some point. But the last thing I wanted to ask you about, and we talked a little bit about this already, is when Driussi is out and Emmy is also out, should Owen Wolf be playing in that 10 spot? And I bring that up because I think the answer is yes. It keeps Diego out on the left wing as long as you're running this 4-3-3. I think putting Owen in that spot is what we've been told is that is his natural position. And even last year when we were playing him a lot on that right wing, when the chips were down and Sessi was suspended, et cetera, away from the team, Owen did well. And using that youth and athleticism to press in the defensive shape and make runs behind the back line. I think putting him in that more central role on offense and taking away some, not all, of course, but some of those defensive responsibilities could be a key to making this offense a little bit more free-flowing and create some more chances on Saturday, assuming that everybody who we think could be out is sitting. What are your thoughts on that? Because, again, I don't think this is like some sort of this isn't like rocket science or some sort of slam dunk take, but I think it's something that I might try if I was in Josh's shoes. And, God, thank the Lord that I am not.
Yeah, thank you. Look, I think that's a very measured way to approach this, and probably a good idea because then it enables you, particularly if Ring is ready to go, and you can slide him back into that defensive spot, push Owen up, and then Diego out. And then if Ring is not ready to go, I'm still okay with Jeffel. I think if you do a Jeffel, Owen, Diego with those three positions that we're talking about there, that allows you to get more talent on the field because at this point, I mean, Jeffel, Rodney, it like there's no clear-cut winner there, but Diego over Rodney at the left wing is a huge win for us. Yeah. So I think that's fair, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see it. I know you corrected me after I said that he didn't get shifted into the Vancouver game to the 10, but he did. So look, like we said, he has some experience there. It is theoretically his natural position. So we can try it. This is a good spot to try it in. If this is a good spot to give it a shot. We said it was nice to have that 3-back in our pocket. And it'd be nice to have something else in our pocket here because obviously what we've done thus far when Seba does not play, there's really not a great answer for it. So whatever you can do to get some more talent out there on the pitch, I'm all for that.
Well, and I think the first answer is 3-4-3 with Seba out, but we don't have the personnel healthy right now to avoid Nick Lima being that third center back, or Brandon Craig. And I personally am just not. I'd rather try to push through with the 4-3-3 and kind of shift those pieces around up front. But we'll see. The people qualified to make those decisions and take those chances will do so on Saturday.
Reinforcements are on the way.
Yeah, and let's talk about that because Tom Bogert drops the bomb this morning. And look, I know that not everybody is as excited as I am about this, but I think the implications of this trade, and I guess we should just say it, Austin FC is closing in on a deal. It's not official yet, but when Tommy Scoots tweets it usually comes to pass. Austin FC closing in on a deal to acquire center back Matt Hedges from Toronto FC. Final details are being ironed out, but Toronto is expected to receive $500K in GAM. Of course, Matt Hedges, the all-time appearances leader for rival FC Dallas, was kind of the crown jewel, if you will, in terms of free agent center backs within the league in this past offseason. That is part of the reason why he got paid so handsomely by Toronto and now apparently going to get paid handsomely by Austin FC. So I guess I'll just throw it to you and we can kind of work through this because this put me in a better mood today. Again, this is not an addition that I think, oh, look, we're going to win more games now because Matt Hedges is on the team. But I think overall, this is just very promising for the next year and a half at Matt.
I don't understand how anyone could be disappointed in this.
Sure.
Anytime the topic of adding players comes up, the first position everybody says is center back. So we went out and got an experienced veteran center back. It was a great move, just from the standpoint of being able to have fucking bodies back there, to have options, to not have to run dudes into the ground, to not have to play dudes out of position and then run them into the ground. So, it's a fantastic move for this club from the depth from the depth standpoint, as well as from a talent standpoint. Is there one person out there other than you that is like, hey, give me Kip Keller over Matt Hedges? Because I don't think so.
Well, I'm not saying Kip Keller over Matt Hedges. I might get close. And I think
especially with this Leo news, especially with this news.
Yes,
especially with this news. And I also get it. I understand. It's not Messi. It's not Busquets. Those are outliers, y'all. That is happening in this weird fucking nebulous circle over Miami. So it's a great sign. I'm all for it. I'm excited about it. Look, he was in a terrible, terrible situation up there in Toronto. Everyone wanted out of there, and we got one of those guys, and we said we could. Yeah, and it's a good move. It's a good look. If we're in a playoff series versus somebody, and we have the opportunity I'm not going to pile on Kip here, but if we have the opportunity to go out there and put Matt Hedges out there next to Leo or Julio, depending on Leo's status going forward here, you have to feel better about it. The guy's a seasoned fucking veteran. He's been through some shit. So I like it. It adds another stable body back there who can help us, and I'm all for it. And hopefully it's just the first plate that has spun. And
yeah, for sure.
What happens after they stop spinning?
Yeah, I guess they crashed to the ground. I don't know.
Put them in the China cabinet.
But yeah, I mean, Hedges just 14 appearances for Toronto so far this season. We know that he was injured before the Austin match back in May, but he did play in that match at Q2 and then in and out of the lineup over the last month or so. And I know he's had an injury designation. And look, this is just me speculating, trying to put the pieces together around this Toronto shit show that's been going on for the last 2 months, because we know that blew up right after the loss at Austin. And then in Bob Bradley getting fired in the Toronto franchise trying to take a new direction. Tom Bogert was talking about on Extra Time a few weeks ago that everybody he was talking to in that Toronto locker room was like, get me out of here. I'm done with it. So if they've been trying to move Matt Hedges for a couple weeks, again, we've heard plate spinning for 3 weeks plus now. So again, maybe these talks have been happening for multiple weeks. And maybe Matt Hedges has been held back a little bit by Toronto, because if he gets hurt again, maybe the deal falls through. Again, just speculation on my part, but we know for sure that the locker room situation there was not good. Like you mentioned, 310 appearances with FC Dallas, made his MLS debut in 2012 and was the 2016 Defensive Player of the Year in MLS. So look, man, at the very least, he's your third center back option. He is the best third center back option we've ever had on this team, by far.
Yes, and, not even close.
And look, man, I think we're going to get a lot of contributions over the next year and a half from Matt Hedges, whether it's in a starting role, a backup role, what have you. But also, I think having him in that room to help mentor a guy like Kip Keller, who was also a super draft pick, just like Matt Hedges, I think 11th overall back in 2011. I think that can only do good things for Kip. And I think, man, if Matt Hedges was here on Saturday, I don't think, and this isn't just because Josh Wolf takes eons to integrate people into the system, I think Kip Keller would get the start on Saturday, because Kip Keller has been fine the last month. I think for me personally as a fan, I am completely past the St. Louis meltdown that he had. I think he has proven, and maybe even beyond the line for me, that he is ready to be at least a replacement level center back right now for this team. Because we haven't, absent the goals that were scored on Friday, the defense has been good in the league since Kip has really entered this rotation and the starting lineup. And I think he has solidified his place as look, when he's in there, I don't think we feel like shit anymore. like our nerves are not going crazy when you see Kip Keller in the starting 11.
I totally agree. And look, this is the perfect, not the perfect, but one of many perfect case studies for center backs and how long it takes for them to develop. Hedges was like you said, an Adidas pick. Took him 7 years. He won Defensive Player of the Year. So, like, look, I know that people have been frustrated with Kip. We're not giving up on Kip. This is a position that takes a while to develop. And having somebody like Hedges there, who I imagine, although I cannot say 100% certain because I was not watching FC Dallas in 2016.
Yeah.
That's when he came in, yeah?
Well, that's when he won. 2016 was when he won Defensive Player of the Year.
Right. In 2012. I do not know for sure. I have not seen any tape, but I can assure you that he went through some growing pains on that back line that were really upsetting the fans. And he could be a great tutor here and mentor for Kip for the next season and a half. So I'm all for it. It's a great move, like we talked about, and Josh has been saying forever, the plate spinning within the league, without the league. Here's a within the league guy. And as you said before, less than 12 months ago, or even less than that.
This was December.
This was the most coveted free agent on the defensive side of the ball in MLS. So you got to feel good about it. I understand his contract's a little big. He did get paid, but that's okay. He's a veteran. We need that presence in this locker because look, we've been saying it up and down the fucking pitch. We don't have that definitive voice anymore. It was Ruben. Yeah, it was Ruben. And Ruben is gone. And now we don't have that voice up and down the pitch. And so Hedges can provide that. He really can.
Sure. Yeah, no question. You mentioned the contract. He's under contract through the end of next season. So contract expires 2024. There are 2 team options tacked onto the end of that. So Austin does control Hedges now through 2026, which you would think would be, this might be the end of his career here. His last stop may be in Austin.
We might be ending 2 careers because Tarek better get bought out now.
Yeah. So his base salary.
That's the next move, yes? What the fuck is he doing here?
We'll see, man. There are 11 days, including today on Sunday, 11 days left in this transfer window. So there is still time for this team to make some more moves and shore up the roster kind of around the edges here. Hedges' base salary, $776K, which makes him the highest paid center back on the roster, as long as you're not including Alex Ring in the center back room. Again, the deal is not done, so we don't know all the financials. And even if it was done, MLS does not disclose a ton of information about this. But Austin FC probably not going to be on the hook, obviously, for all of that salary this year. And then next year, he's an expiring contract. And again, you've now got Leo, Julio, Matt Hedges, and Kip all locked up for next year. So guess what? We don't need another center back, which is great. Yeah. And again, that is why I'm so excited about this. I think that's the number one thing for me is that I think the move, while it's not a big name, you're not bringing in a fucking DP level center back, which I think would be a mistake in the first place, just based on how how rosters find success in this league.
Correct.
It's just now the center back depth chart, assuming health, is extremely solid. And so I'm feeling good about it.
It takes this priority need off the hands of management now because like I said it 2 weeks ago, I was like, look, we need a short-term option right now. Somebody quick, get them the fuck in here to come play center back for this club. And then we can look at acquiring a big fish, a name, buying out some guys, moving on from certain DPs, and then going from there. So now this has been checked off the list. And like you said, we have our center back room now for the next season and a half, 2 seasons, you said?
Season and a half, 2024 free agent.
So it's a good thing, baby. I don't know how anyone could not be excited about this. We've been clamoring for a center back. Sam Pilly's on Twitter saying, please,
shout out Pilly.
Please will grow before we sign a center back. So he's here, baby.
Yeah. So welcome, Matt Hedges. Suck it, Dallas fans. Look, I can't wait for Matt Hedges' first start to be in the Copa Tejas clinching win August 26th in Frisco. It's coming. Last thing on Hedges, if you look back at Dallas and I kind of went to their FOTMob ratings to get an idea of just how good was he last year. 4th on FC Dallas. And again, FC Dallas last year was What seed were they? I think the 4 seed.
5.
4 or 5.
4 or 5.
But again, they were just a couple points behind us in the last year. So Jesus led them. Jesus Ferreira was 1. Alan Velasco was 2. Paul Areola was 3. They're 3 biggest names. And then Matt Hedges with a 7.08. So again, obviously, it's tough to have that high of a rating when you're on a team as bad as Toronto. I think he's 6.83 this year. But man, you get up into that 7 range as your average. That is a very good starting center back in this league. And if he's our third option, great.
So, absolutely.
Let's go ahead. Let's move on here because this game is about to kick off. Austin FC 2 taking on Rapids 2. We are going to go watch this match and come back. So for you, it is 3 seconds, but for us, it's about 2 hours. So we will see you on the other side. I didn't think getting a point would be so unsatisfying at the end of the night. Can we just go talk more about how good we think the Matt Hedges trade is instead of this?
Yeah,
I mean, what a fucking roller coaster of a game that was.
What a wild game. I mean, the 2 top teams in the league, 6 goals in regulation, three apiece in the halves there. Just a wild game. And like we looked like 2 completely different teams in between the halves there. And man, yeah, I was like, oh, sweet. We can get this Mazatlan taste out of our mouth.
Yeah.
Like we're about to smack because before you said and we were like, oh, we're gonna go watch the FC2 game. We'll see if they can do anything for us. I was like, well, we're gonna have to beat the shit out of this team for me to like remember, or like miss to not to forget what happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, shit, they're fucking good. They're a good team.
They're number 1 for a reason, man.
They're
like obviously the home field advantage with the elevation.
Yeah.
But they also have some very good players on their team. They didn't have Moises Bombito, I think his name was. It's the 3rd pick from this past year's draft. He's been up with the first team apparently for a while, but they had some of those other guys too, the names we discussed before the first matchup between these 2 teams. Our lineup came out, and as we expected, some of those guys who are with the first team or on the Leagues Cup roster, rather, in Denver today. You had Damian in net. You had the same 4 across the back. Still no Charlie Asensio. I imagine he is injured along with David Rodriguez. I know we heard the rumor that Rodriguez has a little bit of a foot injury, but that it wasn't supposed to be season ending. So would love to hear what's going on with Charlie as well. So you had Sal, you had Captain Joe, Chris Pinkham, and Czech Toure. Then Alonso Ramirez back in there. Steve and Val in the midfield. CJ out on the left. Micah on the right. And then Sebastian Pignot up top. Bobo, Valti, EJ, John Santillan, Cristo, AOC, and then Eric Lopez on the bench. Any takeaways for you from the lineup?
Nope. What I expected, really.
Yeah.
Maybe not Steve there in the middle, but what I expected pretty much.
Yeah, for sure. So getting into this one, 6 minute, Pinkham hits Val Noel down the right sideline. He makes a really nice turn towards the middle, kind of dusts his defender. And then he links up with Sebastian Pignot in behind that back line. I thought it was good timing by those 2. And then Sebastian crosses it into the 6-yard box, and the Rapids are they're able to clear it, but right into their own man. Yeah. And CJ just right place, right time, bangs it home, cleans up that deflection, opening goal 6 minutes in. Feeling good.
Feeling great.
Yeah. Then 10th minute, you get a yellow card to Baptiste from Rapids 2. I think the first of 11 yellows on the night without a single player being tossed. That ref really walked the fine line tonight, man. It got physical early and then often after that.
It was chippy.
Yeah. 2 minutes later, you get Pignot picking up a yellow for impeding the keeper coming out on a goal kick there. And then 2 minutes after that, you get a pretty nifty touch in traffic by Ramirez ahead to a streaking CJ. It's 1-on-3 here. And so he pushes the break and then holds up about 25 yards out. And then he's got Val. I think it was Val. It might have been Burton. But he's got one of those fellas trailing on his right and tries to hit that guy in stride. And the Colorado defender, I thought, did a good job to intercept that and cut it out. But Austin completely they had all the momentum in the first half, all of it.
Yeah, it just came out and we were all over him. Got a fortuitous bounce there with CJ. He slots it home as he's known to do, and like, man, we looked great. And it was like, oh, sweet, okay, we're here to play. Like, I remember this first half thinking to myself, boys came to play today.
Yeah, no doubt. 20th minute, Pinot wins the ball back in the defensive half. He gets it to Alonso Ramirez in the middle of the pitch, and Alonso starts to break. He gets it out to Val Noel on the right. Noel runs forward and then kind of hesitates near the box, makes his move towards the middle. And as he does this, he kind of like he loses his footing or like loses his handle a little bit. Mm-hmm. But Pinot is kind of crossing in front of his face, and when Val kind of loses the handle on the dribble, Pinot just kind of picks it up and like pokes it right past the keeper. Looked like it may have taken the deflection off of the keeper, but into the back of the net regardless. It was really nice build-up by the team, the counterattack, and a little bit of luck involved maybe with the deflection there, but we'll take it 2-0.
Absolutely. Feeling greater.
Yeah. And I can't wait to see what you come up with for this one. 29th minute here. Austin wins a corner. And so Czech lines up over it with Noel short with him. And so he plays Val short. Then Val pushes it on to Alonso Ramirez, like near the top of the box on the ground. And Alonso takes a touch towards goal. And as this is playing out, Czech is darting right from that corner spot in behind the back line. And like almost like a little backdoor cut on the baseline. And Ramirez finds him right on the edge of the six. Like he gets a touch to put the ball across the face of goal. And like, I don't know if like, I think you may have been outside for this one, taking Mooch out. I don't know if you've seen it. He gets taken out violently by, I don't remember what Colorado player. I couldn't believe there wasn't a card shown on the play. I think that the team posted the replay, but the most important thing, that touch that went across the face of goal, Sal Mazafero, of all people, is cutting on the backside and roofs it home 3-0. I mean, and again, also the set play executed to near perfection here. Yeah. You get the goal off of it. We see it time and time again from this coaching staff, and credit to the players who are able to take what they're doing on the training pitch and put it into the game successfully. It feels like every other game we score off a free kick.
It was a beautiful set piece executed to near perfection, like you said. The timing was excellent. Didn't get caught off sides anywhere. Sal comes in, nets it, and I'm feeling most greaterist.
You're almost forgetting about Friday night at this point. Like we got the good Verde vibes that the children are avenging us as they're known to do.
Yeah.
You get a couple other yellows here. I think Larraz picks one up, who's one of the key players for Rapids too. I think it was Alonso, although it may have been CJ. Again, it can be tough to tell with only the one broadcast camera. And I was certainly taking notes on the yellow card when this happened. But whoever took the shot, whether it was Alonso or CJ, forces a really tough save at the top corner of the goal. And we almost had a fourth there. Yeah. And I think that would have been enough to get out of there with 3 points. But into the half, 3-0. And man, like you said, the game was chippy. The game started getting chippy after the third goal. The Colorado guys really started to get frustrated. A couple two-hand shoves by one of those Colorado. I forget who it was, but right into Sal, pushing him out of bounds. I couldn't believe that the first one was let go. Then the second one, there's no card. I don't know.
It was Miller? Was it Connor Miller, I think?
You might be right. I don't remember which guy it was.
Just running through his back. Like you can't do that. Also, the field there, they have the fence pretty near the end of the goal.
Yeah, they do. Not a lot of runway there.
Yeah, I almost hit it a couple times, but yeah, they made it chippy. It was a little bit dirty at times. This ref was not really in charge of this game. Pretty strange. And then there's some very interesting calls coming up here in the second half.
Yeah. So coming out of the half, you get Alonso Ramirez picking up a caution on a late challenge. That out of all the cards, that was certainly in the deserved category. Yep. Tough one there. 54th minute here, you get a dangerous Rapids 2 build up. Sal was not able to stop Larraz, but he did slow him down enough that Damian got the jump on him and came out and made the stop. But then 2 minutes later, I thought this was, again, we only have the one angle, so it's tough, especially when you're on what you feel is the wrong side of the call. It sure looked like from the broadcast angle that Czech Toure gets all the ball here on Larraz, who was just kind of dribbling inside the 18, certainly in a dangerous area. But it looked like to me that Czech got the ball and Larraz and his momentum just like carried him to the ground. But the PK was awarded, and I forget who slided it home. Larraz didn't take it, but got past Damian there, so 3-1.
It was the kid who rifled that shot the first game, almost took the net off the ground.
Vargas. Vargas, that's right. Yeah. Good call there.
Tough call. And like you said, tough call. And like you said, with the angle, you only get the one angle. It's just really hard to see. But I mean, what was the difference in that one between the what happened in the first half with Ramirez?
That's a good point.
What was the difference there? So I thought it was a weak call. I'll never really be able to get a good angle, full angle on it. But he had been dispossessed. He had lost the ball already. The ball was taken off of his body.
That's what I thought. But again, you have a 3-goal lead. It's 3-1. Like, okay, let's tighten up here. Tough break on the call. But we can see this out. I think that you really started to see some guys, the team as a whole for sure. But some guys were getting real gassed out there. And so the subs do come eventually. 60th minute here, you get a yellow card for Micah. Time waste and kick the ball away. So just kind of a cheap one there. I mean, just, we don't need to be wasting time that early. We can still be playing. 66th minute here. Larraz scores the second goal. It was a really nice pass from Hanya, who was giving us fits down that right side. So Hanya had gotten to the end line and just cuts it back. Really nice execution there by them. And after that second goal goes in, this is where we get the triple sub for Austin. You get Vela, John Santillan, and Bobasi in there for Micah, Sebastian Pinot, and Val Noel. 3 minutes later, you get Damian a yellow card for time wasting, and then Valti comes in for Alonso Ramirez. So we've got fresh legs here on the pitch. 2 minutes later, 71st minute, Damian loses the ball in the 6th, trying to play it out of the back. And Remy Cabral gets onto it, turns, and bangs a shot off the underside of the crossbar, and Valti was able to clear it out. But my goodness, almost crisis averted at that point, but then 7 minutes later off a corner, Czech Toure, really unfortunate, tried to head it up over the net for another corner, and it goes inside the back post. So we're all tied up.
We just looked like we were trying to get out of there. That second half.
It was too early. It was too early to be.
Yeah, we went way too conservative too early. You got to play the game. You get to the 70th minute. Okay, feel a little better. But man, we just really came out second half, just kind of resting on the laurels of that first half and not understanding who this opponent was. And that they got 42 fucking goals this year.
Yeah.
This team has an absurd amount of firepower up front. So fell asleep, and we paid the price.
Yeah, and again, I get it that it's different than playing down here at the pitch. Like, guys are going to get more tired, right? Your runs are going to be a little bit shorter in the 65th, 70th minute. And look, I will credit the guys, because the way it was going at that point in the 78th, it's like we're going to give up a fourth, maybe a fifth, because there was just no stopping these guys at this point. After this third goal, and look, I don't know what he said. I don't know how much of an ear Jackson Valti has to the team, but he was the one guy I saw out there like clapping, encouraging guys as it's all falling apart. Again, I should they have come out with at least 2 points, but probably 3? Yes. But they did go up there and get a point, and the way it was going here with 12 plus minutes to go, it could have been 0. So I saw that little bit after the third goal. And the guys stepped up, the fresh legs kind of kicked in a little bit. And And there wasn't a ton of action really from there on out.
No, we just kind of limped to the finish line. We didn't really have anything going in that second half. I think the last play that I saw that was significant was a nice run by Valti, gets it up front, hits EJ, and then he overlaps him perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, EJ got hit then too. Like
you don't think he could have got that off? I felt like
maybe he was going to get fouled regardless.
I don't know. It was a beautiful play by Valti. Beats a couple guys and gets
got the interception first.
There. Yeah, the interception. Yes.
Well, that was the last play of regulation, right?
Yeah, and that was like, I was like, damn. And
well,
I mean, you go over to that PK, and it's just like, all right, we feel good about having Damian, but like we've just been battered in this second half. CJ's getting beat up. They're getting physical with our guys. This LaRaz kid just giving us nightmares. So. Yeah, I mean, we got the point, and we'll just take the point, and it was just a tale of two halves.
Yeah, I mean, the one note I did have, 88th minute, you remember the free kick where Damian stands tall, gets the save on the first one, but like wasn't able to gobble it up, and so there's a follow-up shot that bangs off the post, and Damian kind of like goes into the net and hangs there for a second, trying to make the save on the second one. And then CJ did go down. I'm hoping it's just cramps. You know, we're at elevation. He was going for, this was what, 92nd minute, I think. EJ comes in for CJ. But that took us to the shootout, and then it was round 6, right? Everybody converted, and then EJ gets his denied by the Rapids keeper there in the 6th round. So 2 points to first place Colorado, 1 point coming home with Austin FC. And we'll look ahead. We'll preview the next match on Wednesday's episode as well. But Galaxy 2 coming to the pitch, and it will be next Sunday at 8. So looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, this game when Colorado comes here to the pitch is going to be that's going to be a fun one.
I can't wait for that. And I think I've got the schedule right here. That is the penultimate game of the regular season. That'll be September 15th, 8 p.m. So yeah, I mean, potentially if you know, we're going to need some help from other teams taking some points off Colorado, and we're going to need to continue winning. But that could set up to be a big showdown.
They're going to be hard to catch, but still, I mean, at this point now, you definitely owe them one.
Yep, no doubt. So I guess really like only one other thing. Obviously, best ball on hiatus. These first round of Leagues Cup games are still going. I think 2 of our bets we're playing tonight. So we'll bets recap and make new bets on Wednesday. But then I guess the one thing that we did see during the game, We Are Austin TV tweeted out Amro Tarek has unfollowed Austin FC on Instagram, you know, which can mean nothing, but given the context of the situation, probably means that his tenure here is coming to a close soon, especially with the news of the Matt Hedges trade today. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. Nobody will know what he's up to at the club now.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see is that, you know, are we using the buyout on him? What is the mechanism for getting him off the team? I'm sure we'll find out here in the coming days if that is what's going on here.
One day I would like to learn what went so fucking awry with this.
Yeah. We saw the main reason.
Yeah, he was inexcusable when he played in Violette. There's no excuse for a professional player to be that bad. But is he a dick?
Yeah, I don't know, bro. We don't know. We don't know who he is.
We don't know. But this is, I mean, everybody wants him gone. He doesn't want to be here.
I assume so.
All right. Yeah.
That's certainly a fair read from the third party perspective. Everything that we know.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. That'll do it for episode 75 of the North End podcast. And if you're still with us, we appreciate you. And if you've got 5 extra seconds to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, wherever you get your podcast, we would greatly appreciate it. And if you're watching on the YouTube, subscribe to the channel, help us grow the podcast. You can hit the notification bell to know when a live stream pops up or a new episode goes live. And of course, on this episode, hit that thumbs up, like the video, help us battle the YouTube algorithm overlords, atone for your sins wash yourselves clean in the waters of the North End. We will be back on Wednesday previewing Austin FC's second Leagues Cup group stage match against FC Juarez, previewing Austin FC 2's matchup against Galaxy 2, and talking all other sorts of nonsense. Maybe an Amro Tarek departure. Maybe another plate, stops spinning and, I don't know, comes in and serves us, I don't know, a new DP. Who the fuck knows, man? It's still 11 days left of the transfer window. I don't think we're done.
I agree.
All right. Well, everybody will be watching along with us. Enjoy the beginning of your week. Let's put Mazatlan in the past. We move forward. We'll see you back here on Wednesday. Until then, I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC, everybody. Goodbye.